Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 16th of September. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this bright and chilly morning down where I am. Jonny McFarlane, what's it like up there?
Yeah, it's chilly here, mate. I'm sitting in the office. My office at the front of the house. There's no sun coming in here. It's north facing. And it's the first time in quite a long time I've thought, oh, it's a little chilly in here this morning. I need to put on my little heater, but I actually can't afford that. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna just tough it out, Derek.
Class. What does your top say? I drink
and I know things. It's a Game of Thrones quote from Tyrion Lannister. There you go. Sadak that I am. A gift from my wife.
Oh, class. It looks like it's nice in the morning anyway. But people aren't tuning in to discuss the weather, of course, and the temperature. They're tuning in because they want to discuss all things Rangers, and there's plenty to talk about. Before we do so, folks, just a reminder, as you can see the little ticker below, we've got that great offer on the website just now. So many of you taking advantage of it, and why not? We're practically giving away the content on the site just now, just £1 for 2 months worth of content. It's a cracking deal. I've bunged the link in the description, in the comment section, sorry. So go and have a look at that and go and check it out. It really is worth the money. £1 for 2 months. You can't say any fairer than that. Aldo's a big fan of your hoodie, Jonny. He says that's some hoodie, he says. Yeah, much love for the garment that you're wearing at the moment.
Right, that's on to my wife.
Yeah. Right, let's talk Rangers. So much to talk about, Jonny. Let's touch on your piece first of all before we delve into the match tomorrow, and a piece on the website from Four Lads Had a Dream blogger Stevie Clifford. Your piece yesterday was a right eye-opener regarding murmurings of potential investment over in the US. It seems rather strange that the goings-on over there. It includes the late Darius Campbell, also known as Darius Dinesh, of course, as well. And your piece basically explained what's been going on. Can you give the viewers a little insight into what they can find in the piece?
So it's basically a question and answer about the potential £75 million investment in Rangers that's been trumpeted, and the actual detail behind it of being able to cast an eye over the court documents, because Rangers are in the process of taking the company involved to court. The company's KRF Capital, because they allege that an investor deck that went out after Rangers rebuffed the approach contains Rangers IP, and also had false allegations in it, including that Rangers are up for sale, which obviously Rangers are adamant they are not. So that's ongoing in the Florida court at the moment, and this is a Q&A detailing all these little elements, because I know there's been smatterings of little stories here and there, Darius Campbell's involvement, Paul Murray's involvement, and I wanted to really just drill into the detail of it and explain stage by stage, question by question, what's happening in the sort of clearest way I can, because it's quite a convoluted story, and hopefully the piece does that. But it's certainly interesting delving into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've stick the article link in the comments section, folks. So do go check it out. Lots in there, and explains basically what's been going on. The other piece in there from this morning from Stevie Clifford, Jonny, is touching on Rangers recruitment. Now this is a lot of supporters are not happy that a right midfielder and a centre forward weren't brought in the transfer window. They feel that the squad maybe isn't equipped for the challenges ahead. And Stevie talks in detail about the money that has been spent, incidentally, on a certain number of players, Alexa Ridvan Yilmaz and Ben Davis, and likewise Rabbi Matondo, an outlay close to £10 million, he says, who have barely featured as yet. And he goes on to say this club isn't in a position to get these deals wrong. It's a huge outlay for us. He's not wrong with that, Jonny. £10 million is a lot of money to Rangers, and you're really wanting to see more. I'm not quite sure what the issue is, why we haven't seen, especially Yilmaz and Ben Davis. I know he had a slight knock, but Rangers need to start seeing a bit more output for the money that they've invested in these guys.
Yeah. I think Stevie's very fair in his comments there. Ultimately, Rangers had a pot to spend, and it wasn't a massive pot by today's standards. Big money for Scottish football.
Yeah.
But in terms of the global game and how transfers are going, not a lot of money. So what that means is you have to do it carefully. Now, the bulk of that cash has been spent on 3 players, hasn't it? It's been spent on Rabbi Matondo, it's been spent on Ben Davies, and it's been spent on Yilmaz. Now, I don't necessarily think that those players are not going to come good because it's very early in their careers. But you have to say there's some worrying signs. Rabbi Matondo hasn't grabbed the hold of that right winger position and made it his own, and there isn't that much competition there. You know, Scott Wright, I think we all think is a useful player at Premiership level. He works hard, he can do a job, but he's not a certain starter, is he? No. So Rabbi Matondo should be coming in and seizing that, and he's not done that. And I think on the situation with Ben Davies, he's been back for, I think, 3 weeks. He's been in 3 matchday squads, I think, as a sub. And to see James Sands be sent off and then Giovanni van Bronckhorst go to Leon King, I think was quite damning. Surely Davies would be ready at this stage to come on for the last half an hour in a game. Add into that the situation with Yilmaz. Yes, he's come in, he's a talent, he's boosted Borna Barisic's performances, but it's a lot of money by Rangers standards for a guy who's going to need time to settle in when 2 or 3 positions in the club were glaringly needing addressed. I mean, for me, I know Rabbi Matondo's come in, but he just reeks of project player. You know, his age, his profile physically, and Rangers desperately need not 1, 2 box-to-box midfielders. They need athleticism, legs in that midfield, and they need a right midfielder who can actually put the flag down and say, I'm the main man out here. The way Ryan Kent has done over the years on the left. And it hasn't happened. Recruitment is a difficult thing to get right, but at the moment you'd have to say September 16th, it's looking like it's been a poor use of funds. And I think while around the actual transfer window itself, Derek, there was a lot of murmurings about why isn't money being spent. I think there's now a bit of an understanding. We had a piece by Kieran Maguire, a completely independent football finance expert, who detailed why Rangers finances have been measured smartly and why they've been measured the way and managed the way that they have been. And I think it's moved on from why isn't the money being spent, because now there's more of an understanding about that, to why is the money that we did have been spent so badly? And is that fair? It's very early. I don't think it's quite fair yet, but I do think there is questions to be answered about why those specific positions have been highlighted as opposed to other areas of the team that I think could probably require a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's a valid point raised by a Gallant Pioneer, a good friend of the show. He says, we've not seen much of the new signings. They've been here 2 months now. It's a fair point, especially with regards to Yilmaz. We've been banging the drum saying it's going to take him time to acclimatise to new surroundings and what have you, but I thought we'd see a bit more of him than we have done now. But that's not taken away from Borna Barisic, of course. How do you drop him? I think he's been the one player who's been really good for Rangers lately. So, yeah, listen, the jury is out, very much out on the summer transfer business. The sun coming in my window there. So, yeah, it remains to be seen if these players will come good. I'm all for giving them time, though, Johnny. We've seen with John Lundstrom last season, not to write players off so early. It may take certain players a bit of time to get used to the demands, first of all, of playing for a club like Rangers. I don't think any of the players that have arrived, Ben Davies, perhaps, who was at Liverpool, although he never played for them, haven't played for a club where the expectation is to win every single match. So that takes a little bit getting used to as well. Just want you to touch on, Susie gets in touch, good friend of the show as well. She said it's her birthday today, 41 years young. So happy birthday, Susie. Hope you have a tremendous day. Gallant Pioneer touches on the article you put out on the website yesterday, Jonny. Says the US court storyline just reeks of banter years.
Yeah, it does.
I can see your point with that. Let's touch on tomorrow. Very much must win. Rangers go into the game off the back of 3 successive defeats, conceded 11 goals with none scored. Rangers need to not only get a win tomorrow, Jonny, but it has to be a performance to match. And I'm talking a few goals. The Rangers supporters that head to Ibrox on Saturday need to see some sort of improvement. Well, I say it's maybe harsh to say that on with regards to Wednesday night, but they need to see a much better tempo, increased tempo, and better performance, especially in front of goal as well. And Kryptonite says same starting 11 this weekend, guys. I think there's going to be changes, Jonny. Do you think there's going to be a number of alterations, would you say?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Conversely, I also wouldn't be surprised if Gio says what that performance did for the team in getting it back on track was top notch. Let's actually just go with the same.
Yeah,
I can see both arguments, but fundamentally, I would err towards keeping it the same, Derek. I'll be honest. Alfredo Morelos and Ryan Kent work well together. I think Morelos needs games. Rangers need to prioritise getting him up as quickly as possible back to where he needs to be. If it's only 60 or 70 minutes, you've got Čolak there to come in, and Čolak will get a lot of minutes. But that midfield at least gave you a platform. You can't go to the well with that every week, Derek. That's the problem. Is Ryan Jack going to play 2 games in a row? That's maybe a bit of a stretch. Maybe you bring in someone else there to freshen things up. Tom Lawrence, unfortunately, isn't an option at the moment. If Tom Lawrence was in, you know that he would be definitely playing in this game. It's an ideal game for him, someone who can rattle the ball from 25 yards.
Yeah.
So I think part of the problem is that there isn't a huge amount of options there. I mean, Malik Tillman could obviously come in as well, and I think that's something that might look at. If you're talking about bringing Ryan Jack out, Malik Tillman comes in and gets pushed a little bit further forward. I wasn't massive on Tillman on the right, but in Premiership level kind of games, you've got Tavernier bombing on anyway, so it kind of allows him to come in as a sort of number 10, a second number 10 almost. So that's one that I think is potentially doable, and probably I would advocate that to a certain extent. But listen, United are going through a tough patch themselves. They're ranked rotten. They've been beaten 9-0 by Celtic. They've been beaten 7-0 by AZ Alkmaar.
Yeah, they've not got a manager.
They've not got a manager. They're coming to Ibrox. This is a really good opportunity for Rangers to batter United tomorrow, as Aldo McNaught says.
Yeah,
and get that confidence back up. That is a great point. Any three points will do. A 1-0 win will do. But if you can put together a bit of a performance, if you can continue, let's face it, the standard that they played to against Napoli, then they'll blow Dundee United away. No hyperbole here, Derek. I thought the first 60 minutes, until the sending off against Napoli, Rangers played as well as they have full stop under Giovanni van Bronckhorst. Honestly, I thought they were absolutely excellent until that sending off. And that obviously completely changed everything. They were undone by a ball over the top. Yeah. And after that, Rangers didn't create another chance. It's understandable because they were up against such a good team. But I think that's what people need to remember is how good Napoli actually are. They're top of Serie A.
Yeah. They're a slick side
everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point made by Gallant Pioneer as well. International break after this one as well, so it's important to go into that with all 3 points. They'll play again until October, so certainly you want the feel-good factor as well, Jonny. I think supporters going into that international break knowing that the team have arrested that slide in form, that dip in form, and they are getting back to winning ways. I think Ryan Jack mentioned that when he spoke to Rangers TV after the game. on Wednesday night. He was, of course, disappointed at the result, but he said that it's important that they send the supporters into that international break with a bit of belief and confidence, and I think hopefully Rangers can do that tomorrow. You want to touch on a couple of things, Johnny?
Yeah. Now, there's a couple of questions there, I think, just regarding what we talked about earlier. Adam Beanie Smith, Rangers, the other British club on UEFA's watch list for FFP compliance, meaning they'll be asked for additional financial information. Adam, that's more of a statement than a question, but if it is a question, what I would say is I don't have any concerns about that. Rangers didn't overstep the mark. They were still within the rules. It was just a case of that UEFA will be keeping an eye on their business dealings from now on. The fact is, COVID had a major effect on Rangers. A huge part of their match day revenue, a huge part of their overall revenue comes from match day, and without it, it's going to have a really, really big impact on their balance sheet, much more than it did for other clubs. I mean, down south, I think it's about 14-15%, whereas at Rangers, it's much, much higher, closer to 50% than 15. That's for sure. So I don't have a real problem with that. You've got to factor in the fact that there's been players sold who are now going to be coming in, and on top of that, the European performance. So I think Rangers are in pretty robust financial health at the moment. While they have to be careful, they're not rolling in cash like some people would have you believe. I don't think there's going to be any problems with financial fair play in the next couple of years ahead. That's for sure. The other point I was wanting to address was this one, and it'd be interesting to get your take on this, Derek, first.
Yeah.
Scott's Welder saying, Dave King stood toe-to-toe with Ashley and won. He needs to return. Park is a huge no for me. What do you think about that, Derek?
Listen, I know why the board are sort of getting it tight from supporters. I understand all that. It takes away. You just want to concentrate on the on-pitch stuff, don't you? A lot of fans just want to look forward to watching their team on a Saturday and a midweek and not concern themselves with boardroom issues. I know Dave King came out just prior to was it this Celtic game, or was it just after?
Just after, I think.
Yeah. So there's obviously things going on in the background there. Not all rosy in the garden, of course. Whether Dave King comes back in some capacity, I'm not so sure. But it's clear that there's issues that need addressed for the good of the club behind the scenes, and you just hope for the sake of these can be rectified, because I don't think it does the club any good whatsoever. Squabbles or whatever behind the scenes.
I totally agree with that regarding the squabbles, Derek. Dave King's not coming back. That's the thing. He's wanting to sell his shares. He is in the process of selling his shares. Yeah. So Dave King is not a man that's committed to Rangers' future. He's part of the history of the club and did an unbelievable job when he took the reins in 2015. He was instrumental in what was to come, and that was the turfing out of those who were using the club as their own sort of personal cash register and didn't have the best interests of the sporting institution at their heart. And for that, Dave King will have, I think, every Rangers fan's gratitude. Yeah. But realistically, Dave King's not going to come back on a white horse and save the day over a couple of bad results.
No.
What Dave King seems to be interested in is bolstering Club 1872. And there'll be many people that agree with that. I believe that fan ownership is really, really important going forward.
Yeah.
And I think, an investment vehicle that allows...
But Club 1872 have got their issues as well. I mean, there's a lot of supporters that have sort of...
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of politics surrounding... There's a lot of politics surrounding anything to do with Rangers, Derek.
Yeah.
But as a broader general point, I think that fan investment is a good thing. But yes, what we have at the moment fundamentally is fan ownership. And I said this in my piece yesterday. Rangers are run by Rangers fans. There isn't, a large venture capitalist element to the people that are running Rangers. It's guys who have pumped their own money in, and no one's pumped in more money than Douglas Park. That's the thing. I believe it's about 20 million that he's pumped into the club. I mean, that is not insignificant dough in this day and age.
No.
To be putting in to keep things afloat. And listen, I know people will say, well, Dave King put in 20 million and then he's put in whatever again. And yeah, undoubtedly, so it's not really a popularity competition. But these guys are all Rangers fans. They all want what's best for the club. And the good thing is for me, and I think in context of this American story, Derek, I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think the American people that are wanting to be involved in the club are spivs necessarily who are trying to, come in and leech. I think they'll want to come in and, build the business but fundamentally they want to come in and build the business for a financial return. They don't want to come in and build the business to reinvest the proceeds into the playing squad. So it's not taking any profit and shareholders and investors are getting nothing out of it, like what's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And if you're bringing in big money investors from America who don't have a link to the club, then is that actually a good thing? Is that what we want? I, for one, don't think that is the right idea for Rangers.
No.
Short-term gain for long-term pain. I think we've been through enough long-term pain.
Tell me about
in terms of the last 10 years and how that's affected Rangers. That to me needs to be put aside. So listen, I think it's really sad that there isn't a sort of level of understanding and respect. There doesn't seem to be between former custodians of Rangers and current custodians of Rangers. But they're all Rangers fans who have the best interests of the club at heart, or certainly appear to. And that, to me, is a massive win overall going forward for the club, and that has to be retained. That was the two questions I wanted to get to, Derek.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael raises that point as well. Says fans need to be in control of the club. Surely you've learned from history. Well, as Rangers fans that are on the board, of course, which you've got to say is a good thing. But the AGM will be interesting. It's coming up in November time, I believe. That is going to be an opportunity, of course, for questions to be posed to the board. And I think that the point raised by there was a question that came in actually by Scott Marshall over in New Zealand, saying that he would like a bit more transparency, a bit more communication from those behind the scenes. And I sort of tend to agree with them with regards to that. I think that would go a long way in explaining to fans what the situation is with regards to the club, because there is a bit of unrest. There's no getting away from it. Gallant Pioneer with a point there, Johnny, you wanted to touch on with regards to Monday, of course, is it the Queen's funeral? Will there be a show on Monday?
Yeah, there'll be no content going out on Monday from us, and there will be no show, unfortunately, folks. So apologies if you were looking forward to some Rangers Review content, but I think the three of us would like to, pay respects on that day, and certainly I don't think it's probably appropriate to be doing anything. So yeah, we won't be.
Yeah. Okay. Some questions I wanted to touch on here. Sean Martin gets in touch. Derek, any news on Alex Lowry? Dave McCallum told me last week or earlier this week, I think, that he's not yet close to the football pitch, getting back on the grass, but he is recovering well. I think it's going to be a number of weeks. I heard 6 weeks mooted when the initial prognosis, so he's not nearing a return to first team action, and of course he'll be integrated back into the B team when he does come back. But listen, I think every supporter would love to see Alex Lowry in that Rangers first team. I think they're crying out for him. We've not seen him. Of course, he had that injury hit pre-season. He came back and then suffered that horrendous challenge at the hands of Dumbarton's Ali Love when they were 7-0 down. An absolute embarrassment of a challenge. But hopefully he'll be back fighting fit soon, because Rangers certainly could be doing with a player of his calibre. This question as well from Ali McInnes. Ali McInnes here says, Derek, Johnny, can you explain the apparent reluctance to explore any possibility of developing a system to play Morelos and means Cholak sorry.
You get like me.
Just when he says Kovac, I was like, what is the guy's name here? But listen, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has said before, it's not a system he believes in. He likes playing the one striker. The only situation I can see where that materialises, Johnny, as if Rangers are chasing a game.
Listen, I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember being totally hyped about Alfredo Morelos being partnered with Jason Cummings. I remember thinking,
Jesus,
like, crikey, now Rangers have got 2 decent strikers.
yeah.
And I remember watching it, and, you know, Morelos just did not look like a happy camper having somebody up next to him. And that has continued throughout his Rangers career. It doesn't matter if he's up with Roof. Even Defoe, who he loved and respected and got on with and had a great rapport with, and who helped him, I think, fulfill his potential as a player, having him around. He just did not like playing with other players.
Yeah,
like I've seen it with too many players now, Alan. It's not going to happen. Morelos and Čolak. Morelos is Alfredo is the way Alfredo is.
Yeah,
you're not going to change him, and he doesn't like playing with a partner. And I think on top of that, Gio doesn't actually like, from a philosophical point of view, to use any more than one striker. So it won't happen. Should it happen? Should Rangers play 2 strikers? That's a different argument. But I don't think Morelos works in a 2 with anyone. It could be, you know, any striker you name, Lednowski or something like that. Lewandowski, that's how you pronounce it. Or one of the top strikers. It wouldn't work. It doesn't matter, because he likes to rampage and run that line.
Yeah, he certainly does. I can't see it happening anytime soon. And a lot of people say that Roof, remember him. Yeah, that's another one. When we see Kemar Roof back in a Rangers jersey, I do not know. But if they can get him fit and firing at some point, then, as the old cliche goes, it'll be like a new signing. And I just wanted, just before we finish up, as a player that I've mentioned many times before on these videos, Crypto Knight says, I'd like to see McCann at some point. I would like to see him tomorrow there. I'm going to put my neck on the line. I would like to see him start tomorrow. I think he's deserving of a start. I've been impressed every time I've seen him, Johnny. I think Rangers need a bit of that bit of energy in midfield. I'm not dissing the midfield the other night, but like you said, they're at an age now where it's a bit too much of an ask to ask them to go to the well twice probably in 1 week. So I see no reason why Charlie McCann can't get a run out tomorrow.
Well, listen, Derek, I don't know if this is me. I don't feel like I've seen enough of Charlie McCann to be making an established point. I've not seen a lot of him in youth games. In flashes, he's shown that he's got skills. I mean, you see that back heel, I think it was Queen of the South, wasn't it? The back heel that set up the goal for Scott Arfield was terrific. It just shows you a real sense of vision. And sometimes a wee snapshot like that really pinpoints what a player's all about. But he reminds me of, sorry, I've got a fly buzzing about me here. Get lost. He reminds me a little bit of, and I don't mean this in a pejorative, because I really liked this player. In fact, I did actually at one point coin the phrase "the Govan Iniesta" for him.
Wow, high praise indeed.
It reminds me a bit of Jason Holt. This was obviously when Holt was rampaging through the Championship under Mark Warburton.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that he's diminutive. He's a little guy, isn't he? And he's perpetual motion. He never stops. He literally never stops. He's like a buzzing bee.
Yeah,
and good touch, very mobile, nimble feet. So I think he'll be a better player than Jason Holt. But
listen, Jason Holt, at that time in Rangers history, I liked him as well. He done a job.
I really liked him as a player.
Yeah.
I see somebody's putting the face palm on there as if Jason Holt isn't a.
Listen, you get 100% effort every game with Jason Holt. You knew what you were going to get. So yeah, he's a player that I was happy to have at the club. But of course, Rangers progressing and have moved on since then.
Yeah, and not a bad CV. Rangers, Hearts, Sheffield United to have as well. Yeah. But listen, Charlie McCann, I think will give you that kind of energy. So it's not a bad shout, Derek, and maybe if you're going to rejig it, bringing in Tillman and McCann to just give you that youthful exuberance and a bit of spark might be a good shout.
Yeah. Ian Thompson is tuned in late. That's a fine Ian. Not only joking if I missed much. Yeah, loads. Go and watch the show after we finish. We're about to finish very shortly. Just before we go, Johnny, just a score prediction for tomorrow. Are Rangers going to get back to winning ways in style?
Yes. I am going to predict 4-0 Rangers. I think it'll be I think it's a perfect game to just draw a line under this awful run of results. But the key thing to me, and someone was saying earlier to the points I was making, that this is a very different game. Obviously, it's a very different game to Napoli. But what I was talking about earlier was, if you bring the basics that you brought to Napoli, the aggression, the physicality, the work rate, the togetherness, Dundee United are not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Those basics, that's what Rangers need to do every week. That's what they lost against Celtic. That's what they lost against Ajax. There's no doubt to me that Rangers are a very, very good side. This squad is good if they have those elements. They're not good enough to drop them. If they drop them, it's over. Forget it. You get embarrassed like you did in those 2 games.
Yeah.
But if they put their minds to it, if they're professional, if they're on the ball, no problem at all.
Yeah, I'm going for a comfortable 3-0 win tomorrow. I think Rangers should have too much for Dundee United. Ibrox, if you're heading to the game, enjoy it, folks. Joshua will be there for us for the usual pre-match team news reaction. You'll also have the post-match reaction as well, and all the fallout from the press conference also. Okay, that'll do us there. Just a reminder of the offer we've got on the website, just £1 for 2 months worth of content. Go and head over and check it out, folks. rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. And we'll be back again on Tuesday to discuss all things Rangers. But all for me to say is enjoy your Friday and your weekend, folks.